The following video has been approved by the Jetty marketing team. The video has been rated Jetty. The following video may not be suitable for all viewers. G'day mate, welcome back to Dyson Sphere with me, Jetty. Today, myself and Icarus, we're going to be talking through the next science pack, because this is part of a little mini-series we've been doing. I'll actually link the videos up the top right-hand corner if you've missed the previous videos, but we already did a video covering the electromagnetic matrix, i.e. the blue one, along with the energy matrix, i.e. the red one. Video just a couple of days ago, or yesterday actually, was the structural matrix. So we did a whole video covering how to make the structural matrix, and all these videos are designed around producing exactly 60 items per minute. Yeah, 60 items per minute. That is the design, that is the goal, to try and make sure that I can give you a build you can walk away with to make 60 items per minute, i.e. 1 per second. Now, if you want to make bigger, by all means double it, triple it, quadruple it, increase it by a factor of 10. It's entirely up to you. But the idea is I'm going to give you something simple you can walk your way through and produce the science at the rate you want to produce it. As always, down in the description, there will be actually, I guess, a list of every single item you need, with a couple of provisos. I am using the current tech available. So I've built the whole build around using the sorter Mark II along with the conveyor belt Mark II, because that's the tech you're going to have access to. There is one proviso. I did use Mark III conveyor belt into the silicon because you need like 20 silicon per second or something. So yeah, a normal Mark II belt wasn't going to cut it, and I didn't want to double up my belts. Put in a splitter to literally put down two tier 2 belts. On top of that, yeah, the only other exception is I am always going to be using an assembly machine Mark I, because as you can see, its crafting speed is 0.75 and its power usage is 270 kilowatts, whereas the assembly machine Mark I is slightly faster at a crafting speed of 1, but it consumes 480 kilowatts, which is a lot more power. It's a lot more power for not a lot more speed, and 9 times out of 10 doesn't change the ratios. So they're the only two provisos. As I said, down in the description you will find all the details you're going to need, what machines in what amounts, all that sort of stuff. On top of that, there's one last thing I should mention. This is my Cybertron base. So if we jump out of map view really quick, you can see I've foundationed everything, and we're currently on our way to building a bit of a mega base over here. This is a base that is exclusively on my Twitch. If you want to come see more of this base and see how we're building along with the Dyson Sphere we're currently building, by all means, Dyson Sphere we're currently building around our lovely Type O, very bright blue star, by all means come follow me on Twitch. Oh, and one other thing I do want to mention is I've had a lot of people on Discord saying, you know, I should mention Discord more often. So we do have a dedicated Discord server with categories for Satisfactory, Factorio, Dyson Sphere. I'm sure you may have heard of some of those other games before. By all means, there's a link up the top right-hand corner, or also down in the description if you want to come jump on our Discord. Very happy to have you there. We're sharing things that we've learnt, new mods, along with, you know, details and screenshots about Dyson Sphere, along with the other games. Anyway, with all that said, let's cover some of the basics. So this is going to be the very first science pack, whereas even though you only need 2 end products, you actually need every single raw resource. So I'm bringing in water, I'm bringing in stone, I'm bringing in oil there. We're also bringing in titanium, iron, copper, coal, and silicon. Okay, now we're going to cover the oil second, and we'll cover the smelting first because it's probably easier. So copper, as you can see, we need 6, nice and simple. Iron, 4, nice and simple. High purity silicon, we need 20 smelters. Okay, after you have 20 smelters in, bringing 20 ore in, it cuts it down to 10 plates, so you can quite happily put that on a Mark II belt. Next up is titanium. Titanium, only need 2. Okay, use most of your titanium for the structural matrix, so you don't need that much titanium for the next tier. Next one is going to be a coal into energetic graphite, which you need 9. Okay, it's a little bit of an odd number, but that's perfectly fine. Oil, I'll cover whilst we're just standing here, but we'll cover the oil branch in just a second. You're going to need 8.5 oil refineries are outputting refined oil, and once again the hydrogen is a waste product. Now this particular build, to make 60 science per minute, is going to require about 60 megawatts worth of power. So the excess hydrogen, by all means, thermal power stations, they use 2 megawatts each. They will burn off the hydrogen. You're only making 2.2 hydrogen per second. So you're not making a lot of excess, but you are making some excess. Obviously, I'd recommend burn it off. Burn it off, have some extra power. You're probably going to need some extra power. So let's cover iron and copper first. Iron and copper is really easy. They come in here, they make circuit boards. We need 2.7 tier 1 assemblers making circuit boards. Had I used a tier 2 assembler, I'd still need 2 point something. It still wouldn't be 2, so we'd have to round up anyway, so I might as well just use the tier 1s. Iron stops here. It's dead. It's done. It's useless. That's the end of the iron for this build, which is great. Copper does continue. On top of that, we are outputting the circuit boards. The copper and the silicon come past along with the circuit boards, and the circuit boards come straight past the next build. They're not actually needed to make the microcrystalline components. They actually need 2 of the silicon plus 1 copper, and they take 2 seconds to craft. Consequently, we need 10.7 assemblers to make our crystalline components. They're going to output onto this little belt here, and finally we have the rest of the silicon, because now we're done with it, coming into our 4 smelters. We need 4 smelters to turn them into crystal silicon. Now, this is all made from bare basic resources. I have chosen not to use any rare resources inside these builds, but yes, if you want to go hunting, you can definitely make these builds easier with rare resources. So that brings us to the end of the silicon line. It ends right there. Meanwhile, our circuit boards and our microcrystalline components come into processors. Okay, again, we're going to need 8 machines making processors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 total. These guys take 3 seconds to craft and need 2 of the microcrystalline components and 2 of the circuit boards. So that's it. That's it for your raw resources. They sort of end here, and they don't really do much else. The crystal silicon does continue on to the rest of the build, and our titanium, which you haven't even touched, actually goes across the oil half of the build. So we've got to one end product being the processor. That was one of the things we needed for the information matrix. The other thing we need is the particle broadband, which requires the whole left-hand side of this build to make. So, as I said, 8.5 oil refineries producing refined oil. That goes in sulfuric acid. Again, sulfuric acid, you can get it off-world much easier. It will simplify your builds, but we're choosing not to do that for this particular build. You need 2.3 sulfuric acid machines, okay? So as you can see, the last one doesn't run that much, and this is also the only place your stone and your water go. So they stop dead here. They don't go any further. As you can see, we're bringing in the refined oil, we're bringing in the stone. You do need like 8 stone to do this particular craft, so you do need to make sure stone is definitely not on the outside belt, otherwise your Mark II sorter is not going to be fast enough. With the second one it will probably be fast enough, but as long as it's on the inside belt or 1 out, it should be fast enough, because yeah, you do need 8 per craft, and they take 6 seconds to craft, so it is a fairly long, extensive crafting time, but you need to be a little bit wiser with how you throw things together. For the rest of this build, tier 2 installers, 1 belt away, 2 belts away, it really doesn't matter. The rest of the build is pretty fine. The only thing I had to actually come back and I had to change this was for the sulfuric acid. Next up we have plastic, okay? Plastic's actually not used till way towards the end, but I've chosen to put it here because we're still using our refined oil, and our refined oil is going to come in here along with the energetic graphene, or graphite, energetic graphite, which we made earlier. We're going to need plastic. Again, we're going to need three plastic machines. 3 plastic machines, we're in and done. So we're producing plastic, and then I've intentionally knocked it out of task. I can get some power poles in here and a few other things, which brings us on to our next product, okay? Next product is going to be the graphene itself, okay? Again, sulfuric acid that we just made along with the energetic graphite. And again, we're going to need 4 machines. 4 machines? 5 machines. 5 machines. 4.5 machines. 4.5 machines it is. It's another odd number. Super helpful. Which means at this point, both these belts can stop. They don't need to go any further. They're done and dusted. Okay. Next up after that, we're going to have the carbon nanotubes. So the carbon nanotubes are going to need the graphene, which we've just produced, along with that titanium plate that we produced way back at the start. It's going to come all the way down here. And you don't need that much titanium, and it's a fairly long craft. So, as I said, just 2 titanium smelters is more than enough to feed the 4 carbon nanotube machines you need at this end. And then that finally is going to bring us down. Oh, it also means titanium stops here. The graphite stops here. What else? Graphite. Oh, I'm outputting on both sides of the belt. I did well. Okay, yeah, the graphite stops along with the titanium. Yes, okay. So that brings us to the final part of our build, the particle broadband. So the particle broadbands are going to need the crystal silicon that we made prior. Again, we're going to bring these in as close as we can, along with the plastic we made way back at the start, and finally the carbon nanotubes. And again, this is actually a really long craft at 8 seconds. So consequently, I need 10.7 machines. Obviously, if I use Mark II assemblers, it would be a couple less, but not a lot, and it would use a lot more power. So we need, as I said, 10.7 of these machines. After we get to the 0.7, it'll run occasionally. It doesn't need to run an awful lot, but it will run occasionally, and that just keeps everything topped up. So when we come to our actual labs themselves, as you can see, bottom one is definitely full and has output. Top one is definitely full, its buffer's full and is outputting. Bottom one on the second side. Now again, we're going to need Mark II sorters. For the actual science pack, you need two processors and 1 particle broadband. Particle broadband. Weirdest name ever. Looks like fiber optic to me. So you are going to need 2 of the processors and 1 of the particle broadband because we're using Mark II sorters, and like each sorter potentially has to feed 5 labs because the matrix takes 10 seconds to craft, and I've consequently put my labs in stacks of 5. I'm making sure that the processors are on the closest belt and the particle broadbands on the furthest belt. So with that out of the way, yeah, we do have the particle broadband belts moving fairly often, CPU belts moving fairly often, and the bottom one on the right hand side, as you can see, the buffer's full and it's outputting flat out, and the top one, it's going to only just get its particle broadband when it finishes crafting normally. You'll very, very rarely see a spare particle broadband in this one because things are made so tightly to ratio. So with all that said, that is today's build, okay? I hope that has helped, and as said down the description, you will find details of how to, well, all the different numbers you're going to need of the different buildings to make this particular build as well. At the same time, like I said, link to my Twitch if you want to come over and watch more Dyson Sphere live. We're slowly building a mega base on Cybertron, slowly. At the same time, there is also a link to our Discord if you want to come over, share ideas, share screenshots, share all that sort of stuff, or see what other people are creating. Lastly, this is, like I said, the third video, whoop, wrong button. Third video in this series. Next video we'll actually be covering will be the gravity matrix. So that'll be the next video. It should be coming out in the next couple of days, I hope. If you guys have any other thoughts, any other questions, by all means, scroll down, leave in the comments below. Lastly, if you learnt something in this video, if you found it helpful, by all means, click the like button. At the same time, if you're new here, by all means, click the subscribe button. Click the subscribe button to find out about the next video, or have a look at the cards up the top right-hand corner to look at the previous videos. With all that said, I need to thank you guys so much for watching. I also need to remind you, up on your screen, hopefully right about now, is a playlist with other tips, tricks, and tutorial videos I have done for Dyson Sphere, along with a couple of looks at the different mods that are available. So by all means, if you're looking for more Dyson Sphere content to watch, maybe have a look at that playlist. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.